Welcome to Golf Ball Addict. I am trying something new, obviously. Sorry for the poor audio quality. I'm having to do this on my phone opposed to a camera. I'll figure out how to do it with a camera later. However, I don't know how. This is my first attempt at it, so for now it's going to be on a phone. It'll be a little weird. But I thought I wanted to do this. I'm going to try to do this once a month, if as long as you guys are into it, as long as it ends up being okay. But basically, I kind of want to jump on about once a month and just kind of go live and talk about some upcoming reviews and what's been going on with the channel, and also just kind of give everyone an opportunity to ask me questions that I might not get to on the actual YouTube video. Sometimes there's a comment on a comment on a comment, and I just end up not getting the notifications at that point. And if I don't get the notifications at that point, sometimes you're asking me questions where I just kind of leave you hanging, and that's not intentional. I just usually don't get it. So doing this live kind of, I think, gives an opportunity to say, like, well, hey, what about this? What about that? Then I can just kind of answer it live and tell you my thoughts, and it doesn't have to be in text form. Sometimes it's really difficult if one of you asks me a question like, hey, which golf ball do you prefer, this one, or this one? I have to type on a YouTube comment and like give 3 different paragraphs and and a closing statement. It's just tough, and so this kind of gives me an opportunity just to tell you. So I see a couple of you already trickling in, so I appreciate that. So while everyone's trickling in, feel free, if anyone wants to ask a question, ask it at any time. I should be able to get it down there as long as you comment on it. Hopefully, yeah, it should be good. I'll go ahead and start off with some of the things that are coming up soon. I just got done doing the Dialings golf ball review, which tested really well. That was about a week ago. I've been testing golf balls pretty vigorously since then, so we'll have some more coming out this following week. I'm going to try to do one every 2 days because I've got them banked and I've got them shot as well. So it's all the pre-production's done in that regard. But yeah, I mean, after that, I've got the Titleist Velocity. We've been working on the Titleist line. The Titleist Velocity is definitely the only Titleist ball I haven't done at the moment, other than the 2023 models, your Pro V1, your AVX, all that stuff. But every other one's at least been done on the channel at some point. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the updated Z-Star, Z-Star 15. Those tested really well a couple years ago, and I mean, the numbers were phenomenal. Now that I've got the different setup, the different clubs, I'm interested to see how they actually compare to some of the other golf balls, because it's always been one of my favorite, low-key. And then actually, I'm going to go ahead and review as well. I've got the TP5. I've held off doing it because the TP5 to me is such an elite tour ball. I mean, it's got 5 layers. It spins like crazy. It's obviously for really advanced golfers, and so I've tried to keep that out just because I've always tried to focus on those mid-range balls, the direct-to-consumer balls. But now here we are, almost 3 years later, and it's kind of like, well, I got to test it at some point, so I'm going to go ahead and test that. And let's see here, Jordan Hampton, thoughts on the 2023 Bridgestone E6. I haven't had a chance to test the 23 version, but I did the previous version. The E6 is, Bridgestone golf balls are so hit and miss, but the E6 definitely was a hit. It didn't blow me away by any means, but it definitely felt soft, traveled far. If you've got a mid-swing speed, it definitely will do what you want it to do. And it definitely holds a green because Bridgestone has a really thorough process, and I've never had any issues holding a green with a Bridgestone ball. So the E6 is really phenomenal. I've heard they've done a couple things here and there, but I don't think it's a drastic change. So I will get around to testing the 23 model eventually, but the E6 is awesome. I would stay away. I just tested the E9 not that long ago, and I had kind of mixed results there. It was definitely long and straight, but I think the E6 is a more softer ball, maybe for 85 to 90 swing speed. I think if you're above that, you might want to try maybe the E9 or maybe something a little higher. But other than that, the E6 is pretty good. But yeah, I got those golf balls. TP5 will be interesting. I don't know if I'll do the X, to be honest with you. If I do, it probably will just be kind of a different style review, just because the X model is just so firm. I don't know if you've ever hit a TP5X, but it feels like you're hitting a rock. And it's ridiculous. It feels like a rock if you hit it square as an average swinger, let alone when you mishit it. When you mishit it, it stings your hand. So I don't know if it's really worth testing. I think the X model is probably 110 to 115 mile an hour swing speed, and most people, it's so hard to hit that. And even if you are able to hit that swing speed, there's still very few golfers that can hit that and actually strike the ball really well. So it's just so rare. I just don't have any use for that. I probably will, again, I'll get to testing it, but it might be a while because it seems useless for the average golfer. The Callaway, someone asked me about the Callaway Chrome Soft X. a couple weeks ago because I did the whole Callaway line. I did the whole Callaway line all the way. I mean, I did the ERC, I did the Callaway Chrome Soft, I did all of them, but I never did the X, and that's because my machine doesn't register the X. I don't know why. It just doesn't register it. So I did go on the course and actually test it on the course, and I will say that it's actually more of the 100 to 105 crowd, so it's not quite like a TP5X. It's not really, really hard, but so not all X golf balls do that. It's just depending on which one they do. So Chrome Soft, I think Callaway does a great job with their X golf balls, not making them feel like rocks. The XLS low spinning model did really well. Loved how it felt. Even though I lost a couple yards because of how firm it was, it didn't feel firm, and so I think that's really important. Some of these other ones like TaylorMade and even Titleist, they're bad about feeling pretty heavy, and it feels like you get in that mindset when you're hitting an X golf ball like that. You feel like you really have to swing hard to get it to compress, and that's when you start making mistakes, and that's why I've always preferred, the softer feel. So, but yeah, we've got that. My Snell MTB Prime review should be this week as well. Those golf balls have already been tested, shot, edited. They're on YouTube. I just can't release them yet because it was actually a collaboration with Snell, so they have to kind of approve it, basically. But the reviews went really well. I love testing them, and I can't wait. I've had a couple people ask me about them, but those will both be this week. I did them in 2 separate reviews. I did the Prime and the Prime X. Snell did a wonderful job with that rebrand. I don't know if you've seen Snell's new logo. For those of you who don't know, Snell's the guy who basically pioneered golf balls for the last 30 years. He basically invented the Pro V1, and he did TaylorMade's Penta golf balls and basically put them on the map. He's a golf ball genius. And there's so much craft in his golf balls, and he made his own company, Snell, about 6 years, 7 years, what was the time ago. So he's been doing direct-to-consumer, and he basically did a rebrand where now they got a new logo and everything looks brand new, and I just tested those golf balls, and they are fantastic. I can't wait for you to see the numbers there. They performed really well. So as soon as they give me the okay on that, those will be out. And then I've also still got the driver reviews that I need to edit as well. They should be out very soon of the Cleveland Launcher, the Ping G430, which is really good, and then the Tour Edge E523 Tour. I hate that. I hate when they do numbers like that for a name. But I will say that those clubs have all, again, been tested, just got to be edited and shot. So really, I mean, to be honest with you, what's crazy is I probably need to manage my time a little bit better because we're looking at like 15, 16 videos that just need to be posted. I mean, that's what's crazy about it. It's not that I'm not testing the product or I don't have the video. It's just it's a simple task of getting them posted, I guess, because I have everything there. So I will say it's kind of tough when you have a 1-year-old and you have another one on the way. So if you're a parent out there, you'll know all about that. But other than that, so we've got plenty of content. Anyone who's coming in, if you're just now trickling in, feel free to ask me any questions, anything you want, golf, life, golf balls, golf equipment. I'll answer it right here live. Got plenty of great reviews coming out soon. If any of you are watching, some of you might not be on here because you're watching the Schwab, which I turned on for a second, but you know what? It was funny when I turned it on earlier. It wasn't much of a competition, but now it's getting pretty tight. Hall and Shanker right there in it, and then Scheffler. I'd love to see Scheffler come back, but boy, he's already on hole 12. I doubt he will. But and Fowler, Ricky Fowler's had a lot of really good rounds this year. It just feels like he can't seem to get in the top 3. I mean, he's been really good this year about getting in the top 10, top 5, which I guess baby steps, but gosh dang. I wish Ricky Fowler could get another win. I feel bad for Victor Hovland, too. It feels like Victor Hovland's always in first place at some point during the tournament and then just falls down to 2 or 3, but he's got to be up there as far as the top 10. All right, well... let's go. Yeah, I've also got the 2023 Pro V1 as well. I don't know how I feel about reviewing the Pro V1. I mean, the first video I did of it didn't even do so well because everybody and their mother's reviewing it. I mean, everybody reviews it. If you have a golf channel, you review the Pro V1, period. And so I don't know if it's necessarily in my interest to even do it or put it on the high priority list. I feel like I should, just because it is, kind of the standard, and Titleist holds such a big market share, which makes me mad. But maybe that's why. Maybe I should for that reason. And then as soon as I can, this is another one you all have been asking me about. As soon as I can get my hands on the brand new Kirkland Signature, the new model that just came out for 23, I will get it. But the problem is I can't find one without a Costco membership, and I can't get a membership just for that. My wife would probably kill me, but I know a couple people with a membership, and I will one way or another find one. And as soon as I do, I will definitely review that one as well, because the Kirkland Signature video did amazingly. It's getting tons of views. Everyone seems really interested in that one because of the value. Obviously, it's a very good golf ball, especially at an amazing value with that Costco price. It really is. And so this newer one is supposed to be a lot better. I've heard some good things from commenters and from other guys, and so hopefully that's the case. I'll get my hands on one. Josh, are you planning on testing the 2023 Max Flies? Is there a difference from the 21s? So I do plan on testing them. I just got to get a hold of them. Yes, there is a difference between the 21s. I don't know exactly what it is. I know they've rebranded it a little bit again. They took away the alignment tool, which I wasn't real impressed with, but they did some changes here and there. And I also know there's been some changes because the price point went up, and I'm not thrilled about that. Every time they've come out with a new model of MaxFly, the Tour line, they've increased the price. The first one, I think it was the 2020 model, was 2 for, I think, 50 or 55. It was like 25 a dozen, 25 to 30 a dozen, and then it went to 2 to 60, and now it's up to, like, I think 2 for 70. So I think it's 35 a dozen at this point. And then I think if you buy them single, I think it's 40. And I can actually check that. I don't need to just kind of guess on that. But I know there's a little bit of a difference. Dick's Sporting Goods obviously owns MaxFly at this point, and they have been very serious with that line. Since they own Top Flight and MaxFly, MaxFlies have done better, a lot better. So they're putting a lot of their money into the MaxFly line opposed to the Top Flight line. So I know that that's the priority. They even came out with the new Tour S line this year, and it's, let me see here. Let's see what so it's $39.99 for a dozen, and then I'm pretty sure it's 2 for 70 if I remember correctly. But yeah, 2 for 70. Okay. So yeah, there should be a difference. What exactly the differences are, I don't know. I hope it's good, because when I tested them before, I got okay numbers. But if you're going to increase the price, I'm hoping that the product increased a little bit as well. But I've had a lot of people wanting to review that Tour S as well, which is kind of the softer version, which might actually work in my favor being an average swing speed. I have a lot more luck and success with softer models. Point proven, the MaxFly Soft and the MaxFly Straight I had really good success with. And then the Tour models were average. So that could be the case. Oh yeah, that's cool. And they even have a little comparison tool here. So yeah, the Tour and the Tour S are still 3 layers for MaxFly, and then the Tour S obviously is the softest. Now that's interesting. The softest model is supposed to fly low to mid. The Tour flies mid, and the Tour X is actually supposed to fly mid to high. So that's kind of abnormal. Usually your X models fly lower and penetrate a little bit more, so they kind of do the opposite. And then driver spin for all 3 of them says low. Yeah, okay, sure. And then greenside spin, all of them says high as well, which, okay, yeah. Iron spin, mid for the Tour, and mid-high for the Tour X, and low-mid. So yeah, the Tour S isn't supposed to spin a lot. But again, I would challenge that, because most of the time people tell me that soft golf balls don't spin, and then I end up getting on the course, or I get in the simulator, and because I have a mid-swing speed, I'm actually able to get them to spin quite a bit. So I would challenge that. But I actually do have the numbers on the Tour X and Tour anyway, so I would like to see how the Tour S does. But as soon as I can get a hold of them, it just makes it hard to go out and just buy them, because I'd have to do 2 for 70 and then buy 1 at 40. It'd cost $120 just to review them. So if I can get them from someone, if someone purchases them and gives me a sleeve or whatever, if I can find some somewhere, that would be a little easier. But I do plan to. Thank you for the question, Josh. Appreciate it. If anyone else has any questions, feel free to ask them here. Any question you want, any question you need, I'm more than happy to give my opinion on them. A lot of great golf balls coming out this year. It's amazing how congested the market's getting. You know, when I started this 2-3 years ago, it felt like the market was already pretty congested, and it seems like it just gets more and more. I see more and more golf companies every single day making golf balls, and it's like, guys, I mean, I wish you the best of luck. You know, it's capitalism at its finest. Everyone, you know, going at it, but it's like, it's tough. It's a tough market right now, especially with the direct to consumer. So I'd like to see something new from Cut this year. Cut used to be one of my favorites, but they haven't changed anything in now 3 years, probably more, but just 3 years I've been doing this. So hopefully I see something new from them this year. And then I'm thinking about redoing the Vice line as well. The Vice line is something that, you know, it's amazing that time flies. If you're a longtime subscriber of mine, you'll know that I did the Vice line. I want to say it wasn't 2020. Was it 2019? No, it had to be 2020. Okay, it was 2020. So I've done the Vice line like 2.5 years ago. And I actually did Vice Week, where I did a whole week, every day, a different Vice ball review. I did the drive on one day, and then the tour, and then the Pro Soft, the Pro, and the Pro Plus, and did all those and everything. And so those need an update for sure. But, you know, I just didn't realize it had been that long. So looking at the Vice site here, yeah, it looks like definitely I need to do an updated review. They've obviously had a couple different editions since then. And, well, my son just turned my computer off. Say hi. Say hi, Olivier. Oh, say hi, Olivier. That's my son. Again, if you're a parent, you know how that is. They come in, they turn your computer off in the middle while you're looking at stuff and while you're live. So, but yeah, no, Vice definitely needs an updated review for sure. They've come out with new models, and I did the Pro Zero recently because it was a new golf ball, but boy, that was by far the worst one out of all of them, so I'm not super impressed with it. But, all right, we got another question here. Jason Henderson, and do you use any training aids? If so, what are your favorites? Oh, goodness, boy, don't get me started. Training aids can really help if you use them correctly. I do love training aids, especially if they're used correctly. Starting with the driver, probably the biggest one I use. I forget what it's called, but it's that mat that has the slanted, the slanted little plastic pieces or whatever to get your swing kind of going more in to out. I used that one a couple years ago really to get my swing in to out, because one of the biggest problems I see in golfers period is over the top swing. It's just common. It's just because you don't realize when you come back like this, and then you turn your hips and you swipe across it like this. And it's so difficult for golfers not to swipe across it. And that training aid really helped for the driving. As far as, irons, alignment sticks are very underrated. I know that's silly because it's alignment sticks, but when I've actually trained kind of two people. When my buddy Alex started playing and my mom, I kind of went through training with both of them, and it's amazing how people don't realize where they're lined up at. You're like, oh yeah, aim at the flag, and then they're aimed up right at the green, and you're like, hey, I need you to aim at the flag, and they're like, well, I am. And it's like, no. And so getting in the right mindset, you have to train your brain. This is what it looks like to line up at the flag from this angle. And at first, it's for the majority of golfers, it's going to be weird. You're going to look down and you're going to look and go, this ain't right. I'm not aimed up right. But that's why the alignment sticks are really important. So I love those. Putting, there's a couple ones. I love the mat, the Perfect Alignment mat. Great mat. It's kind of expensive, but it does work because it's got the lines on there and it rolls really true. Allows you to kind of go 3 feet, 4 feet, 5 feet, 6 feet back and really just get in the rhythm. And then it also has the little hole as well, so you can really work on dialing it in. I was surprised how much that helped me when I was doing the little hole, just because if you learn to train on a smaller target, when the target gets bigger, it really helps. It's kind of like basketball. I was always told to, when you play basketball, get a smaller hoop and train on that. And then when you get a bigger hoop, it's like it feels like it just doubled in size. So I love that. And then, surprising enough, one thing I didn't realize that would help me as much as it did was the putting mirror, and that came with it. I bought a bundle and it came with that alignment, but you can just buy a mirror by itself. But the putting mirror is a really big deal too, because again, sometimes you're lining your putt up, And sometimes, you in your mind, you're just using your shoulders and you're coming back with your putter. And in your mind, you're like, I'm just coming back and forward. Well, when you get the mirror involved, sometimes it's really blatantly obvious that you can come back and go, oh, well, no, never mind. I'm not coming straight back and straight forward. And then you can really get in that rhythm of just hitting off the mirror over and over and over and over. And then it starts to train your brain. And that's a really cheap one right there. A lot of training aids I wish I could try, but maybe they're just too expensive. I haven't had a chance to yet, but one day we'll get there and I'll have more of them. But those right now are my favorites for sure. I love all those. And I think the most important one right now is definitely, short game is so important. And so if I had to choose one, it's definitely probably, I would say maybe that mirror, to be honest with you. It might be the winner just because short game is so important. It's so underrated. All right, thank you for the question, Jason. I really appreciate that. Now we have Jacob. Best golf ball for high handicapper. My club speed is 95 to 105. What would you recommend for the 20 to 35 range? Okay, good question. Let's see. So your high handicapper. Pretty good swing speed, to be honest with you. Do you struggle? Let me ask you this real quick. Do you struggle with slices, hooks, anything like that? Is it you can hit the ball pretty straight, or is it you're struggling with some spin? Is it spinning too much on you? Feel free to answer that. I'm going to go ahead and pull this back up since my son turned it off a second ago. Get my data back up. There's a couple that already come to mind, but I just got to know if you slice the ball or not. So for that range, assuming I'll go both ways until you answer, that's fine. So I would say definitely try the new E9 that I just got done testing. Okay. So the E9 honestly was a really good golf ball. It was $29.99 for a dozen, so that's in that range, and it goes extremely straight. And it doesn't have a lot of side spin, and it's pretty much all for distance. But it felt really soft. It had a good cover. Everything was fine. It tested really well. And I think for a high handicapper, that straight would really help you. It's a very difficult ball to get to curve, for sure. But it tested really, really well, especially on let me find it here. I got so many golf balls now. It's crazy. A lot of the short irons, it tested really well. Did really well on the mid irons as well. And then even when I got to the driver, it was consistent. It wasn't like over the top, but it was there. So it was a good, consistent golf ball. You wouldn't have to change really any of your clubs. That's a good one. I would say, let me look through here real quick. Wilson Optics Duo, fantastic golf ball. I loved everything about it. It performed really well. Again, another really low spinning golf ball. It sticks a green great, but it doesn't side spin on you a lot. I got phenomenal speed numbers, gained a lot of distance. Loved the Optics Duo, big fan. Every time I find one on the course, I get real excited. And those are, I think, 22 a dozen, so really good value there. The Wilson Zip, of course, is a classic. Now with your swing speed, the Wilson Zip you might compress a little too much, so I might stay away from that. Now I don't know that for a fact. I swing 92 and I didn't, so you might be okay with that. I mean, it's probably worth a shot. I think the Zips are like 29 for a double dozen. They're about $1 a golf ball, $1.25 a golf ball, so that's probably definitely a really good one to try as well. Definitely want to stay 2P. So, and then even the Maxfly Straight. The Maxfly Straight was really phenomenal. I got really great numbers. The short irons I gained well above my average, and then ball flight was medium, stick of green just fine. Really good numbers across the board. Even my driver numbers were really good, and obviously it's a straight golf ball. So any of those three right there. And again, I think the Maxfly Straights are real cheap. You can get them, I think, like 2 for $35 or 2 for $40. So under $20 a dozen. Really good value there as well. Any of those three right now. I used to recommend the Cut Red. Cut Red was my favorite golf ball for the last year and a half. But unfortunately, I have had too many people tell me that the cover is starting to have issues, and they're seeing some serious cover defects, and it's like they're knocking the cover off the ball. So I kind of have to not recommend it for the moment because, yeah. All right. Vikash Murga, what's your favorite Pokemon? Okay, there we go. Boy, it's been a while. So surprising enough, I didn't keep up with Pokemon too much after, when I was a kid, I did. So I don't know any of the newer ones for the last 15 years. But my favorite of all time, it always has to be Squirtle. Because in the TV show, there was a Squirtle that had these sunglasses on, and he was always like the coolest dude. And he had this real deep, muffly voice that was like, Squirtle. So I always really loved him. Obviously, the easy answer there was Pikachu, but I'm not going to go there. But that's my. Yep, definitely. I appreciate the question, Vikash, and I appreciate the question again, Jacob. Yeah, anytime. Yeah, those three are definitely good for. And then, another thing too, the Duosoft Plus. I don't know if they still make that, but the optics has the colors or whatever. But Wilson makes some really good golf balls. They really do. I think they're highly underrated. So. You know what? I'm glad. You know what? While we're waiting on the next question, I do want to talk about that as well. I'll wrap up. I'll only keep it 30 minutes. This will be the last thing I talk about unless we get another question. But I saw today, and I commented on it. It was from My Golf Spy, and I don't know why this roused me up so much, but it does. They posted their fastest golf ball, like the longest one, versus their shortest one, which their longest one was the Pro V1 Lev Dash, which was like 330 yards or something. And then the least one was actually the Anesis 900 Tour, which was 297. And they were on there talking about how, oh, would you buy a driver if it was 30 yards less? Oh, this is a big deal. And it kind of upset me a little bit because I'm like, this is all in context, but the problem is you never post about for an average swinger. Like, the Anesis, if you're swinging 115 miles an hour, which 115, 120 is what you got to do to get to 330. That's what you have to do. That's tour level, which most of us aren't at. And that's what I talk about on the channel all the time. 99% of golfers are not there, and they shouldn't be there. I've seen guys on the course that do swing 105, but they shouldn't be because they're swinging so hard and so fast that they're just closing their eyes and praying to God that they hit the center of the face. You don't have to do that. You can slow it down a little and get tempo and just hit the center of the face and score low. But the point is they did this list, and it makes me so mad because the Anesis 900 Tour, or the Tour 900, was a golf ball I tested, and it tested really well, which means that, it's a golf ball for mid-swingers, and that's even what Anesis talks about. They're like, it's for kind of mid-high swingers. Well, it's kind of out of context if you just tell people, hey, the Anesis 900 is, the worst golf ball we tested for distance. Well, yeah, but that's also because it's not for 115 mile an hour swingers. Most golf balls aren't. In fact, if I looked on here and looked at all these golf balls I reviewed, I would say the majority of them aren't for that type of swing speed. Most of the time, even the regular tour balls aren't. It's just X models that are that high, If you're swinging 115, 120, I'm not even sure you should be playing a TP5. You can. I guess it would be kind of the equivalent of me playing a really, really soft golf ball, which I like. It's so soft and so forgiving, so if you can swing 115. But anyway, I made a comment on there, and I was just like, swing speed matters. I was like, why don't you guys ever talk about the swing speed? You just say, oh, yeah, this golf ball sucks because, and anyway. I like My Golf Spy. I'm not harping on them. I like them, but that really rubbed me the wrong way because it makes the Anesis ball look bad. And if you've seen my channel, the Anesis golf ball is one of the highest I've tested, and it would be on the top of my list of golf balls to play. If I had to choose one and stick with a company, it would be up there top 3, top 4. Just phenomenal numbers across almost 7,000 RPM spin with the 7-iron plus the same distance. 118 mile an hour on the hybrid. My gosh, it just jumped off the club. Amazing numbers with the driver. Anyway. So, any other questions, guys? I'm going to wrap up here. I appreciate everyone getting on. I know some people are into this, some people aren't. I'm just going to do this about once a month just so people can kind of ask questions. I know this is the first one. If you happen to catch the tail end of this and you didn't get to see it live, feel free to still comment on this video and I will address it in another video. I will come out with another, a video or whatever I need to do, or one way or another, I'll address it. That way, you don't feel like you were left out. So just feel free, if you have any questions, comment on this one with your question. Don't comment on someone else's comment, because then I can't really see it. It just has to be a new comment. But a new comment, ask the question, and then we'll go from there. But all right, guys. Well, I really appreciate it. I appreciate the people who came, kind of checked it out, and hung around for a second, asked questions. I've got new reviews coming out. I got another one coming tomorrow, and we should have a busy couple of weeks. So keep them coming. I appreciate everyone. We're over 2,000 now, and it means a lot. I can't believe I'm over 2,000 subscribers. It really means the world. Companies are now starting to reach out to me. It feels like we're really pushing the brink of being really successful, and I couldn't have done it without all you. So I really appreciate it. All right, guys. As always, keep watching and keep saving and keep learning.